Hello, everybody. This is Zeke, your old friend. I'm in a different location today. It's so hot outside. It's nice to be just sitting on a front porch with some iced tea. Won't you join me? I wish you would. It's always nice to have somebody to talk to. Well, I have lots of stories to tell you. So we're going to jump right in this. This is the end of the Jacksonian era. That's what we're talking about. The end of Jacksonian era. Jackson was so popular that people would wish that he'd be president for life. Can you imagine that? Having one person as president for life? I think they call that a king. Hmm. No, he don't want to be president no more. He sure didn't. No. And he could have run again if he wanted to. There was no amendment that said he couldn't. So he just didn't. He just didn't do it. In any case, Jackson's going to pick the man that he wants to be the next president. Yes, he is. And guess who's going to be? It's going to be his vice president, Martin Van Buren. That's who wants to be president next. So let's get right into this and see how this is going to happen. Now, as we're sitting out here, you're going to hear all kinds of noises going on. There's these horseless carriages running up and down the street. There's men working down here. They're building something. That's what you call American progress. That's what you call progress in here, Americas. And it's all good. It's good stuff. Yeah, they're building something down here. I'd like to go down and give them a hand, but like I said, it's kind of hot out today. And I'd rather just be sitting on a front porch talking to y'all. So that's what we're going to do. And I did bring something else for myself. Some more of them oranges. Yeah, when I was down there in Florida with Jackson, I decided to stock up on these things, and now I got somebody bringing them up to me. Whew. Ain't life good? Life is good. So let's get into a little bit more. Martin Van Buren, he is going to win the 1836 election, and he promises to walk in Jackson's footsteps. Now, what does that mean? He's going to be just like Jackson? Well, maybe not exactly, but some things are going to happen in his presidency that are going to rival what happened in Jackson's presidency. Yeah, it will. And it all revolves around, guess what? Money. Everything is about money. It's always about money. Everything's about money. Well, there's a party out there called the Whig Party. And I'm going to read this right here for you for a second. This party called the Whig Party is a breakoff of the Republican Party. Basically, it's going to become the Republican Party, is what it is. And Van Buren stunned the Whigs by claiming a sweeping victory. Yes, he did. So the Whigs was a political party that included the National Republicans. By the time ran three candidates against Martin Van Buren. They ran three candidates against Martin Van Buren. They hoped to split the popular vote and force the election into the House of Representatives. But Martin Van Buren, he won. He won it. He took it over. Okay? So people from Van Buren's home state of New York um, hailed the new president for his skill in dealing with voters and political leaders. Van Buren, he was a character now. He was. And there's a little bit of history on him. In less than 2 months in office, he's going to run into problems. He's going to run into problems. So let me tell you a little bit about Martin Van Buren. Only about 5'6". Was he the smallest president? No, he wasn't. He wasn't the smallest president, but he was darn close, wasn't he? He was very trim, and they said he stood very straight like an arrow, which gave him a little bit of dignity, I guess. But if you're only 5'6", you better stand as straight as you can. You need them extra inches, right? That's right. Now, Martin Van Buren dressed very fancy. Okay, I'm not saying he was a fancy pants. No. He dressed very, how should I say it, appropriate for being a businessman and now to be the Vice President of the United States and now the President of the United States. He was a good dresser. He gave Thomas Jefferson a run for his money because, Jefferson, he was a great dresser. He had lots of money. He could afford those clothes. And I guess Van Buren could too. Now, Martin Van Buren, running with Jackson, was a Democrat. All right, was a Democrat, but he ran against them Whigs. Now, Whigs was like I said, the Republican Party, and they ran three people against him. Let's just say three, and they thought they could split it up, but he took them all. He took them all. So the Democratic Party won. You know, the Democratic Party has a symbol of donkey, and you know the donkey is pretty stubborn and pretty strong type of an animal. You know where they got that name from? Andrew Jackson. Yes, under Andrew Jackson, he was tough and he was stubborn. Remember, I'll do whatever I think is just and right. So him being part of that Democrat Party, they had that donkey. There's other names you call donkey, you know that. It represented how Jackson was. He was tough. He was tough. At this time, the Democrat Party was tough. Okay, Republican Party just kind of learning their whereabouts about him. And like I said, it was really called the Whig Party. It wasn't the original Republican Party until around, oh, I don't know. I'm thinking around 1850s, something. 58, 59, something like that. Because there's a young man that would run for president, started off in the Whig Party, became a Republican. His name was Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln. Ring a bell? Yeah. We may talk about him sooner or later. We'll see. In any case, let me tell you a little bit more about Martin Van Buren. I got to get me some iced tea. It's starting to get hot out here. A little bit of mint in that tea, just right. Now, he was impeccable in his appearance. That's what we were talking about, right? And he was of Dutch descent. So, you know, they're pretty stubborn people right there. I'm not saying all Dutch are. No, I'm just saying that the Dutch, they know what they want and they know how they want to get it. Okay. He was born in 1782, right before this became a country right here. 1783. Remember, they signed the peace treaty, Treaty of Paris. He was the son of a tavern keeper and a farmer in a place called Kinderhook, New York. Kinderhook. Remember that. Kinderhook, New York. Ever been there? No, I've never been there neither. I've never been there. I like to go. I like to go any place. You know, it's just fun to go. Now, in 1827, he had emerged as the principal Northern leader for Andrew Jackson. Okay, President Jackson rewarded Van Buren by appointing him Secretary of State. Remember that? Spoil system. Yeah, he gave him a position, didn't he? Yep. Seems like they're cutting wood someplace. I hear that buzzsaw going. In any case, the cabinet members appointed at John C. Calhoun's recommendation began to demonstrate only secondary loyalty to Jackson. Only second loyalty to Jackson. Van Buren emerged as the president's most trusted advisor. He really trusted Martin Van Buren. He really did. Yes, he did. He really trusted him. Jackson referred to him as a true man with no guile. What does guile mean? He was honest. Yes, he was. I'm not saying he wasn't a sinner because we're all sinners. But he was a man that could be trusted. He was trustworthy, and he was honest as the day is long. That's something to say about a man or a woman. His word was his word. His yes was yes and no was no. That's the kind of person you want to be. Yeah, I hope I'm that kind of person. Most of the time, I think I am. In any case, they called him the Little Magician. The Little Magician was elected vice president on the Jacksonian ticket in 1832. And why was he? Because John C. Calhoun stepped down. Remember all that trouble they had at that dinner party with the toasting here and there? And John C. Calhoun was for states' rights. Remember states' rights? That's right. And he won the presidency in 1836. Now, many called him Old Kinderhook. Old Kinderhook. So let's get to that for a second, because that's kind of an interesting story. How many of you say the word okay? I think old Zeke says okay a lot, don't I? Yes, I do. Well, that may have come from old Kinderhook. Okay, old Kinderhook. Because as he was running for president, there was a group of people that would support him. You know what I'm saying? And they formed what they called the Democratic OK Club. The Democratic OK Club, Democratic Old Kinderhook Club? Is that what they're trying to tell me? So when he would come into the room, okay, 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 which means all right, or I agree, or he's the one. That's right. All right, okay. Makes sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Let's do a little experiment. Let's see how many times you can say okay in one day. Can you count them? I bet you all say it at least 20 times. Does all right count? All right's like okay. In any case, that's just for fun. So soon they start saying okay. And okay won. Old Kinderhook, he won. Now his trouble started with the Bank of the United States. There's that bank again. Money. Bank of the United States that Jackson fought against all that time. Remember, he did sign the charter and it went out of business. And that president's name was Biddle of the bank. Biddle? Right. So in 1836, the charter ran out. You remember that. The banks all over the country set their own rules for operation. And what were those little banks called where Jackson put all that money? Remember? Pet banks. Pet banks. That's right. Pet banks. So let's take a look at those for a second. See what's happening to all of our money that's going out there. Now you remember Jackson told Roger Taney, take that money and start putting it in banks, all these different states called pet banks. Now the pet banks were making up their own rules, own regulations. Everybody wasn't getting the money they were supposed to be getting. That's not good. So banks started to loan very freely and started to make money without backing it up. I'm talking about making money. They're actually printing money. You gotta back that money up with something. What it's called is specie. They're backing the money up with specie, which is like hard cash, gold, silver, like we have today. All of our money is backed up today with gold. With gold. So you just can't start making all these millions and billions and even trillions of dollars like some people want to make $2 or $3 trillion. We ain't got no money to back it up. What's that mean then? It means we're going to have to take a loan from another country. Like who? China? That's not going to happen. I hope it's not going to happen because not only my kids, but my grandkids, and my grandkids' kids will be paying for it. Looking at you, you'll be paying for it too. We don't want that. We don't want that. But anyway, getting off the topic again. Old Zeke gets fired up about it. Talking about money again. That's why. So let's go to this. In 1836, the last full year of Jackson's presidency, and the year before Van Buren took office, the charter of the bank ran out. We know that. Okay, so it's done. It left free control from the banks, individual banks all over the country, started doing their own thing, making their own rules. Okay? Easy credit, large amounts of paper money from the banks helped to increase prices, especially the price of land. The price of land. Remember a long time ago we talked about speculators and how they were buying land $1 an acre, some $1, $2, $3 an acre? Wish I could do that right now. I got a few dollars. I could buy some land for a couple of dollars. Ain't like that no more. No. Back then, it was. So easy credit, large amounts of paper money, helping to increase land prices, and people were starting to speculate, and they were buying. And hopefully, they could sell it again. They were making money. People were making fortunes. They were making their fortune on this. Okay? So As long as prices were rising, when speculators were buying, they could hope to resell their purchase price 3, 4, 5 times what they paid for. That's a pretty good investment. You're not going to get that just by having your money sit in the bank. No, you're not. So, Americans of all classes of people, remember we talked about classes, from the rich to the poor, we're making money. Isn't that a good thing? Isn't it a good thing? It can be a good thing, but the only problem is when you're making money and you don't have any specie to back it up, whatever goes up, it's going to come down. It's going to fall. Now, unless you had a lot of money, you were borrowing money to buy land. So here's a problem. They're robbing Peter to pay Paul. They're borrowing money from some of these banks so they could go ahead and buy that land. You see, they're going to buy that land, then they're going to try to sell it and make 2 or 3 times as much money. Now, they're not going to use their own money to go buy it again. They'll go borrow it again. They want to keep that cash. I see what they're doing, and it's okay for a while. Okay, the rush to buy government land at rising prices had alarmed Jackson. Hmm. This is last year in office, and he saw what was going on. He tried to stop the land speculators in 1836 by issuing a much disputed paper that he had written, like an executive order, okay, called the Specie Circular. Specie Circular. So listen to what it says here. The paper stated that the government land could be purchased only with specie. Well, they were buying government land out west. That's what they were doing. They were just buying their neighbor's land next door. They were buying land to be developed. And now it had to be only bought with gold or silver, no more money. Because that way it was basically really paid for. Maybe the money they were paying with before was kind of like them continental dollars. Remember the continental dollars? They ain't worth nothing if they ain't backed up with some gold or silver. So now Jackson says you got to buy that land with gold or silver. Well, because most speculators didn't have enough gold or silver, the land prices fell real quick. Real quick. Sales fell real quick. And reduced sales, they tried to unload this land as fast as possible. Now, if you had the money, you were making a killing. But for the most part, they were not making a killing. These people that had bought this land could not get rid of it now. And they're stuck with it, but they still owe the bank money. Yeah, because they took out a loan. They still owe the money. Well, that's not going to be good for anybody, especially the banks. So the banks took over many properties, and the banks could not even sell the land themselves for the money that they got into it. Has this ever happened before? It's happened before. It's going to happen again. You got to keep that under control. Just years ago, well, it's been quite a few years ago, I should say, around 2008, 2009, they did the exact same thing. They were giving loans to people they knew they couldn't pay them back. And then they tried to sell these houses. They couldn't sell the houses. The banks had to take them over. The banks got stuck with a lot of houses. Just in Las Vegas alone, 10,000 houses were repossessed. They couldn't sell them to get their money back. They had to take a loss. So they did. Took a loss. Well, that's not good. That's not good. You can't make money that way. So let's see what's going to happen. The people are going to rush to change their paper money into gold and silver. There wasn't any gold and silver. There wasn't enough. There wasn't enough to get it. So more and more banks had trouble doing business. And a lot of them started to close. Now, when your bank closes, you better hope that you got your money out of there. Now, when you put money in the bank, they don't just set it aside and say, well, here's Zeke's money. And when he comes to get it, we'll just give it to him. Oh, no, 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 no. They use that money to give people loans. I mean, my money's not in the bank? Well, technically, no, not the same money that I gave them. But hopefully they'll have enough money through interest that they'll have enough money to pay me back. I don't like that. Like that. That's why a lot of people keep their money someplace else. Where at? Safety deposit boxes, under their mattress, in the wall, in the floors, in a safe at home. I mean, keeping it at the bank, you're not making any interest anyway. You're not making a lot of money. So cotton prices start to fall in the South. Cotton prices. Okay, what's that got to do with anything? Because they need people to buy it, and people that were buying before, they didn't have the money anymore. So what are they doing? They're dropping the prices to try to unload it because it'll go bad. Well, Southerners had trouble repaying their loans too, and they needed to make as much money as possible. You do whatever you have to when you start running into money problems. Yes, you do. Not illegal things, though. You don't go out and steal from somebody, but you have to finagle a way to get that money, and you start selling off things just to try to get a few bucks. Like I said. Well, in the West, the weather destroyed the wheat crop. 1836, the wheat crop, that was one of their main ways of making money, and they lost it all. They lost it all. Could recuperate a little bit? No, not enough. Not enough to pay their loans. They couldn't pay it off. So how does it affect the North? We already got the South. That's one section. We got the West. That's another section. What about the North? Three. Industry. People weren't buying things. No. Factory goods dropped. Many Northerners were laid off. You know that word, being laid off. Many were laid off. Many were let go. Many were fired. They had to let them go. Many were homeless now because they couldn't afford to be living where they were living. They don't have a job no more. Do you see a pattern here? You see, just when one part of the country goes bad, something happens, it affects the other parts of the country. This is why we need to stick together. You got to help each other. One thing about this country was when a tragedy hits, usually everybody helps everybody out. But when it happens to all three of the sections here, now what are you going to do? Well, it was called the Panic of 1837. 1837. So this is an economic panic, is what it was. Let me read this to you. The economic crisis worsened, and this panic happened within 3 months of Martin Van Buren taking office. What a thing to happen when you just become president. You know, many times when people become president, there are catastrophes that happen. 9/11, remember that happened? He was only in office for a short time. And now, look what we're into right now. A pandemic. Pandemic. Same thing happened in 1918, another pandemic. What are we to do? As president, you got to make decisions. You got to make decisions. So what's Martin Van Buren going to do? Well, hundreds of banks failed now. Thousands of people lost land. For about 5 years, the United States was racked by the worst depression so far in its short history. In its short history. You see, history does repeat itself. We don't just have one depression, one recession, one pandemic, one crisis. There's always another one coming around the corner. But you got to be able to get through it. You got to get through it. So far, we have. We have gotten through some of the worst things in not only American history, but in world history. We've got through it. So, this new president was not responsible. No, he wasn't for this panic. But he did little to relieve it also. All right? Declaring the panic was due to recklessness in business and overexpansion of credit. Exactly. That's exactly what it was. Martin Van Buren was right on the nose with that. He devoted himself to maintaining the solvency of the national government. The government's, that's not their problem. It's not their problem. People think it is today, it's their problem. But really, it's the people who made their own decisions. So does that mean the federal government's got to bail you out? It has many times. It has. There's been some checks that have just gone out in this pandemic, and they've bailed people out. They've helped businesses out. It's a great thing they're doing. It is. They don't have to do that. No, they don't have to do that. But they did. So Martin Van Buren, he opposed not only the creation of a new bank of the United States, but also of placing government funds in state banks. Well, what are you going to do then? He fought to establish an independent treasury system in 1840. 1840, let's have a treasury system. What does that mean? It handles all government transactions. As for, in other words, the government would store all of its money in the federal treasury. We still have it today. Yes, we do. We still have the federal treasury. There's all kinds of funds out there. They can call it whatever they want to, rainy day fund, any kind of fund they want to. As for federal aid to internal improvements, he cut off expenditures so completely that the government even sold the tools it had used to build roads, bridges, canals. They got rid of all things. Well, how's that going to help the people that are trying to build things? They ain't built nothing because there's no money going out. This is not a good thing for the country. So he felt, as many Democrats did, now listen to this here, he felt, as many Democrats did in that time, that the government should not interfere with the economy. Can you imagine that today? Can you imagine that today? It's the Democrats today that want $3 trillion for the economy and other things. Should the government be involved? Should they? Back then, he said no. I got to say, well, what if the government didn't give us anything? There would be times that people would be in bad shape. Yes, they would. We have a lot of money going out to people. It's our money. It goes to the federal treasury, doesn't it? Sure it is. So, long about way, we're all helping each other, aren't we? Now, the new treasury would stop independent banks from using government funds for their own loans. No more government funds to these state banks. No more government funds. Inclined more and more to oppose the expansion of slavery. Now, that's a good thing right there. You do not want the expansion of slavery in the West. Van Buren blocked the annexation or the accepting of Texas because it assuredly would add a slave territory and it might bring war with Mexico. Guess what? There might be a war with Mexico. My goodness. Back to war again? Well, let's don't get off on that. So Texas was not allowed to be annexed as a state. That whole bounce right there. Remember the compromises that were used? Missouri Compromise, 1820. Maine came in. Missouri came in. Missouri, I should say. Now, defeated by the Whigs, by the Whig Party, in 1840 for re-election, he was an unsuccessful candidate for president. In 1848. He died in 1862. Well, that's Martin Van Buren. And he was the eighth president of the United States. Eighth president of the United States. What happened to that depression? We got out of it. We eventually got out of it. Everybody caught up to things because they worked together. They worked together on it. Now, we're going to stop this right here because there's part two coming up. There's always part two, isn't there? Because there's always such good stories to tell. So I'm going to tell you right now. I want you to be kind to somebody today. Here we go. You got to be kind. You can help somebody out. You can help them out. You can go over their house, and maybe help clean up a little bit, cut the grass, wipe down their porch, maybe even sit and have a little iced tea with them. Wouldn't that be nice? Just go and talk to people. Be nice to them. And those people that you love, you know what old Zeke always says. What do I say? Tell them that you love them, won't you? Can you tell somebody that you love them today? Because that's the most important thing. Not money, it's love. Come back for part two. We're going to be talking about another president, William Henry Harrison. You're going to want to hear this. See y'all later.